Miller Mahdi from 8451 here. Welcome to another episode of The Uplow'd. We're glad you're here. Each month we dig into the world of AI, thick data, machine learning, data science. We invite you to stick around and let us know what you think. Keep an open mind and stay curious.
Well, welcome to The Uplow'd. I'm your host, Dan O'Keefe. On today's episode, we're talking to Senior Researcher Natalie Wozniak. Welcome to The Uplow'd, Natalie.
Thanks, Dan. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. And like the rest of us, I think you're working from home today, correct?
Yes.
Great. And where is home for you?
I am actually based out of Palo Alto, California, so I work remotely full-time, so I'm always working from home, regardless of the outside situation.
Gotcha. So this was a little bit easier for you than most, probably, when COVID hit, correct?
Yeah, it's definitely not easy for anyone, but I'm very fortunate that I already had the desk set up, ready to go.
Right. Well, I'm glad for that. So that brings us to the most immediate topic. Today's show is another virtual episode, which allows us to practice social distancing and keep everyone safe and healthy at home. So we appreciate you joining us today on the second virtual episode of The Uplow'd.
Thanks.
We always like to start these episodes with a little bit of background on our guests. So would you please tell us how you came to your current position with 8451?
Of course. So I am a Midwesterner through and through. I grew up in a small town in Nebraska and ended up going to the University of Notre Dame in Indiana, studying marketing and psychology.
Mm-hmm.
So with that intersection in just kind of understanding consumers and business problems, but with that psychological background, I applied to 8451 and actually ended up coming straight to what is now the consumer research team within 8451. So I've been on that team for 5 years now, working on a variety of different work streams and a variety of different projects, from CPG-focused work to Kroger-facing work, across a lot of different research methods. I've been doing that for 5 years.
Gotcha. And that dives right into our first question about the consumer research team. How does your team's objective differ from 8451's core function, which is providing analysis of data from Kroger's loyalty program?
Yeah. So the consumer research team is a group of 30 researchers, so think social science researchers, who are focused on doing customer-facing attitudinal data collection and analysis. So whereas you think of most of 8451's work is focused on the behaviors, we're focused on the why and the attitudes and how people are feeling and thinking about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So within that consumer research team, again, about 30 people, we have a pillar or a focus area across several different things. So there's a team that focuses on how do we do research well, a team that focuses on making products or answering ad hoc questions. And then the team that I am currently on is called the foundational research pillar. And we're really focused on the broad questions that can be useful to the entire organization. So think about being efficient with really big studies of surveys or asking other customers other things, but then scaling those insights to share throughout the organization and be really foundational and fundamental to that understanding our customers as humans.
Gotcha. So if you don't mind sharing, outside of the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously, which has affected all of us and would impact your work, and we'll talk about that, what's a general example of the qualitative research that you do?
Yeah. So in terms of the things I'm working on, I work on a qualitative research community, which we'll get into, and then also a quantitative receipt tape survey. So that's just an example of a few of the things we work on within that foundational research. But specifically the qualitative research community, we have this need. We have a lot of quantitative insights. So think asking thousands of people survey questions via online or through other methods. Mm-hmm. But it's really important to also look at the what we call qualitative research side of things. So think about a smaller group of people versus thousands, maybe hundreds, or even like 10 to 30 people, but going really deep into understanding people as humans and asking in-depth questions and asking, looking at consumers in a way that's really broad across or deep across a specific consumer or a specific subset of consumers. So specifically thinking about qualitative data as a whole, we wanted to be able to scale those qualitative insights and pivot really quickly to answer a lot of different questions because, thinking about our business as a whole, we cover a lot of different topics, from how people are interacting with coupons to how people are deciding what is for dinner tonight. So we wanted to put together a piece of work that really was flexible and able to pivot to a lot of different topics, but also had that qualitative lens. So we could interview people over video for a half hour to a couple hours, or we could have them spend several days with us answering a series of questions to really get into like different topics of interest to us. So we set up a community to look at that longitudinally. So we have customers over 6 months to really do those sorts of activities that I outlined to kind of fill that gap in all of our offerings that we have as a foundational research team.
So you said you set up the groups over a period of 6 months. Does that mean they are a group for 6 months, and then within that 6 months they're taking different surveys or providing you with different insights? Is that correct?
Exactly. So we have the way we're thinking about this group of customers, because it is a very different piece of research than what we normally do, is we have around 30 customers a month who are added to our pool. And these 30 customers, we want to be representative of our Kroger customer as a whole. So we are recruiting across the United States in all of our different banners and divisions. We're recruiting a mix of different demographics that might be of interest to us. So we are, so we don't have the same type of person within that 30. We want a mix of really representative people. So we have lots of different opinions to pull from. And then that group builds over the course of the 6 months. We add another 30 people, but still keep that core 30. So we do end up getting quite a few people involved in this community by the end of the 6 months. Right now we're at about 90 folks. So it's really great to have that amount of respondents for us to choose from to ask specific questions.
And how do you go about selecting, those customers to be in that group?
Yeah, so we have our behavioral data on the back end, so we know if people are Kroger customers or not. And then we work with different vendors we have internally to find the right people to answer this. Because if you're answering this research, obviously you have to have ability to access the internet to answer these questions. It's all online. So we work with a couple different vendors to get that right mix of people, like I mentioned, across locations, income, other kind of demographics that we want to have a healthy mix. Gotcha.
And so that was my next question is, I've been a member of a focus group before, but that was back when it was in a room, with, several other people, and there's a window that is two-way for the people behind the window, but not for us, right? But you're doing everything online, and that was prior to COVID as well, correct?
Yep. And as a team, we definitely do still do in-person focus groups and things like that. But for this specific community, because we want it to be across the country, online is definitely the best vehicle to do that. But yes, we have 3 main different types of ways we're asking people questions or engaging with them in this community. So the first way is a video interview, just like you and I are talking right now. We schedule a session with the consumer, and we have a predetermined guide of what we want to ask them about. So an example was, how are you thinking about cooking at home? So we might ask them to do a little bit of homework beforehand, for a week, make a food diary of the different ways you're cooking at home, and then we'll interview them about it for a half hour. And we'll do that for 15 different people. So we have a really good representation of customers, how customers are thinking about cooking at home. The second thing we'll do is something called an online bulletin board. So think of it like a discussion forum, right, where we set up different days worth of tasks. So we'll usually do about 3 days, and we'll have a series of questions for people where we're asking them very specific questions on how they're feeling. about a certain topic. What's a really good example of a retailer who's blown your socks off recently, or who's your favorite grocery retailer or least favorite? Questions like that, where we want people to sit and think about it versus respond in the moment. And then finally, we do have a even quicker turn. This is really flexible for us, where we just ask them a quick 5 questions and we can ask everybody that. So it gets us a little bit more quantitative, where we can have some amount of quantification of how people are feeling versus that smaller group of people going really in depth.
Interesting. Of those 3 methods, what's your favorite as far as interacting with the customers?
I've been really enjoying the online bulletin boards just because of the depth there, but all 3 obviously, but I think there's a real power to video and how that can really bring home a message in a way that just putting a customer quote on a page can't. You don't hear, when you're putting a quote on a page, you can't understand the size or the pauses or the really difficult, tone of voice in a customer when they're talking about something they're frustrated about or they're really excited about. So I think video has been really powerful, and I'm glad we have that at our disposal for sure.
And have the customers been responsive to this effort? Because I know it's still fairly fresh. Are they giving you the insights you're looking for? Are they going deeper than you might have imagined, or are they still kind of skirting the surface?
They definitely have been giving us the depth we've wanted. I mean, even we've done a few different studies where when you look at a group of customers and you're asking them questions, they're willing to, people are willing to share a lot. People want to talk to other people and want to share things about their lives. Yeah. So I think it's, people are even sharing information that we're not necessarily asking about, but has been really, influential to the story of it. As you think about things going on right now, we're learning that people are actually struggling with medical issues or things like that. We aren't asking about that. We don't, that's not necessarily information we are looking to have or want to have, but people are very willing to share.
Well, expand on that. This whole effort started in February. Is that correct?
Yes.
So remind us of the impetus for the consumer research team and your efforts, and the creation of the qualitative research community. Remind us of the impetus for that, and then explain how it's evolved since COVID-19 occurred. Suddenly made your research more relevant than ever, right?
Absolutely. It definitely has. And, while I don't think anyone would ever say that this has been a fortunate thing to happen, it has definitely been fortunate for us that we have this flexible research in place while something like this is happening. So we were able to pivot a lot of our content that we were asking. We did have a plan of all of the things we wanted to ask, but we did make the decision to pivot and ask consumers starting in very early March if they were aware of COVID-19, how they were processing it. And we've been able to ask them series of questions since then, even up to last week. So really over the past 2 months, right, to understand how people's opinions are changing. So, we've been watching people, we can go back and see that, Dan, back in the day, you were pretty skeptical of how you were thinking this pandemic was going. But now if we look at your responses now, can see that you have a tower of toilet paper in your garage. So we can see how people are changing over time. And that's really valuable to us looking at a very specific consumer level, but we can also get a really great gauge across the country of how people are reacting differently. So thinking about when states very first started to open up recently, we have people who are in that state who are reacting very differently, who are very excited, but people who are also incredibly nervous. Yeah. Or other people who are in states that were, adversely affected, who are watching another state open up and being like, that's not something I would be okay with. So we've been able to see the mixed messages or mixed feelings on how customers are reacting to a bunch of different things.
And to that point, how are you using these findings to affect changes for customers moving forward?
Yeah, so I think there's been a couple of, we've been using this in a lot of different deliverables for the business. So we've had this packaged up on its own in a way just to stand alone and allow people to have a lot more empathy for our customers. We've had, there's been some, we're all working from home. Understandably, we're working for a grocery retailer and we're really privileged to have that ability to work from home. A lot of our customers don't have that luxury. That's the truth of the matter across the US. So we've been able to package up those insights, to my point about video, in a way that's been shared across our business in a really short clip of a video that people have actually seen throughout 8451 and Kroger to just drive that empathy. Another example of a deliverable we've done is really focused deep dives into different topics that are affecting consumers and are top of mind for our division leadership or even just senior leadership, thinking about what time of day people are shopping. So in that example, we have the data at 8451 behaviorally to know what time of day people are shopping.
Right.
But what this provides is that deeper look into, we know what, but we don't know why people are choosing to shop when they're choosing to shop. We can have a lot of hypotheses, but until we ask our customers, we won't actually know why people are picking what time. The answer we found there is people are just kind of making it up as they go, as we all are during this pandemic. Be it because you just have a gut feeling that a lot of people are going to go first thing in the morning, or you have a gut feeling that everybody's going at noon. It's mostly customers just kind of picking something and seeing what sticks. So insights like that are really helpful to us to affect how we message to customers what time of day they should be shopping, or maybe when we have senior hours. Things like that are really easily actionable once we know what people are thinking while they're doing a specific behavior.
So I'm curious to the point of when shoppers choose to, or when customers choose to shop. Was it was either the federal government or the states that set parameters around when seniors could shop to better protect them? And I think it's 7 to 8 a.m. every day. Was that at all driven by customer feedback that you or others might have identified? Or since they enacted that, have you gained insight or feedback from customers about how much they like or dislike that particular hours for seniors?
Yeah, I think it has definitely been more of the latter in terms of, there are a lot of decisions being made right now that are, government related and we don't have a lot of control over on the front end, but we're here to support on that back end to understand how people feel about it. Is the frequency right? Thinking about even things like personal protective equipment or what's going on at the checkout, or a lot of those decisions that we're making. We can really quickly get feedback from customers to see what they're liking, what they're not liking, and quite honestly, what other competitors are doing that they're finding really effective or that they're not finding effective at all and they're finding kind of annoying. So we're getting that feedback a lot quicker to kind of make the next step of the decision in terms of, where do we go from here? And that's especially relevant as states start to open up.
Where do we go from here? What's the future of this project?
So this is the first time we're doing a qualitative community like this. And I think we've been really happy and really proud of how flexible this approach is and how quickly we can have access to our customers going forward. So those two principles are something that's going to stay with us, no matter whether we continue this specific community or we figure out a different solution that's still getting us that flexibility and still getting us that deep insight into our customers. We're definitely still thinking about it long term as it's a pilot, but we're really excited with the insights we've been able to get from it so far, and we definitely have more to go. So we're excited about that.
That's great. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners about the qualitative research community and your efforts on your team for 8451, Kroger, and their customers?
Yeah, I think what we're really trying to drive home here as a team broadly is seeing our customers as humans, right? We're all people we're all fundamentally doing the same task. We all grocery shop. So I think the importance of this research is really to think about our customers as humans and put that human lens on top of a lot of the things we talk about within the organization, because we can say a lot about, in stocks, or, we have a lot of terms that we use at 8451 that mean a lot to us. But if they don't mean something to the customer, what we're doing won't matter. So getting that customer lens, and even further than a customer lens, a human lens, is really paramount to everything that we're doing. And we're really excited to bring that to more people.
Well, and it sounds like they're really appreciative of the effort, and we're gaining a lot of good insights about that. That will help not just 8451 and Kroger, but the customers in the long run, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, listen, Natalie, we appreciate you being with us, but we're not going to let you go just yet. If you've watched any or listened to any other episodes of The Uplow'd, you'll know that now it is time for the 8451 lightning round, where we ask you a series of 8 random questions for 51 seconds. Natalie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. I'm going to start the counter now. What's your ideal temperature to set the thermostat?
71 degrees.
Do you play any musical instruments?
I play the viola.
Oh, outside of work, what's your biggest accomplishment?
I ran the San Francisco Marathon when I was 26.2 years old last time.
Congratulations. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I prefer the term perpetually tired pigeon. I like to go to bed early and sleep in.
I can relate. What's your favorite country to visit?
Definitely New Zealand.
Oh, beautiful. What's your most binge-worthy TV show?
For a short binge, I would say Firefly. For a long binge, Parks and Rec.
Firefly. Extra points there. If you could go back and visit one decade in the 20th century, which one would you choose?
I'd probably say the 1960s.
Awesome. And if the pandemic ended tomorrow, what's the first thing you would do?
I would definitely go on a hike with my friends out here.
Awesome. Yeah, and great, beautiful country to hike in as well. Well, we didn't quite make the 51 seconds, but I'm going to subtract some of those seconds for the Firefly answer, because I'm a big fan as well. And I'm going to say we just made it under the wire.
Perfect.
Congratulations on that. And thank you, Natalie Wozniak, for being our guest today. I'm your host, Dan O'Keefe. Thanks to all of our viewers and listeners out there. We hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and we'll see you next time on The Uplow'd.
Millen here. That's it for this month's episode of The Uplow'd. We hope you enjoyed it and hopefully learned something new. Remember to give us a like and share your feedback. Until next month, stay curious.